The Baroque city on the Elbe. This is how Dresden is known. What you may not know, Dresden is also a trendy university city.
And wherever there are students, there's always something going on. That's why university cities are often exciting travel destinations, especially for young people.
So, what's going on behind the Baroque scenes? How is student life here in Dresden? Let's find out.
I'll explore the trendy district in Dresden's Neustadt with a student. I'll show you a famous Mayan manuscript in the university library. And of course, I'll also visit the Church of Our Lady, Dresden's main tourist attraction. When I see the panorama with the many magnificent buildings, I almost feel like I'm in Italy. It's not for nothing that Dresden is also called Florence on the Elbe. But a look at the map shows Dresden is located in eastern Germany, around 200 kilometers from Berlin. About 500,000 people live here. Some 40,000 of them are students.
Why do you study here in Dresden?
I know about German engineering, and it's very well known, and universities are free here.
La ciudad es muy linda, la arquitectura es maravillosa, vivo igual en el centro de la ciudad, tiene lugares muy lindos, el Greta Garten también es muy lindo para ir a pasear, la Elbe también en el verano y simplemente lo bien que me ha recibido esta ciudad.
I recommend Dresden if you are good in German. If you speak only English, then you have to be in your own circle. You cannot go to the international circle and have like broader circle. That's the thing.
Wir wohnen in der Neustadt, so dieses Ausgeh-Bar-Viertel. Von daher, da hat man eigentlich alles vor der Haustür, was man so braucht.
Schöne kleine Restaurants, die halt auch preislich für Studenten sehr geeignet sind.
Dresden hat noch vergleichsweise geringe Mietpreise im deutschen Schnitt. Das finde ich ist erwähnenswert, weil in Berlin möchte ich keine Wohnung suchen.
Dresden is like one of the top universities in Germany. It's top 10 universities.
There are 12 universities in Dresden, the largest being the Technical University. It was founded in 1828 and is one of the universities of excellence in Germany, so one of the best. There are 119 courses, not just technical ones. You can study almost anything here. The university has around 30,000 students. About 5,400 of them come from abroad. The main campus of the TU is in the southern suburbs and is its own small town within the city. All important buildings are within walking distance.
This building is the lecture hall center. Looks pretty modern.
It houses a total of 6 lecture halls. One of the most important places on campus is of course this one.
This is the cafeteria for the students.
This is the Görges building, named after the physicist Hans Görges, a former university rector. Here I meet Kusal Narayana from India. He's been doing his master's degree in nanoelectronics at the TU for a year now. Exhibits from the TU's technical collection are on display here in the Görges building. Generators and motors that come from the early years of electronics. That's light years away from what Kusal studies.
What is nanoelectronics?
So nanoelectronics is almost like having all the things like remotes, mobiles, or some of the chips inside the mobiles in a very small scale, so that you can improve its performance, reliability, many things depends on that.
Okay, so all the science around this, what's inside this?
Yes, like
basically
like miniaturizing everything inside that.
Ah, all right.
Even more.
And why do you study that in Dresden?
As Dresden is the Silicon Valley of Germany. So since there are many semiconductor technology company based in Dresden, so it is a higher opportunity for students who are interested in semiconductors and electronics, and you will have a better scope, and you will get hands-on experience on multiple things which you do not usually get back where you come from.
And apart from nanoelectronics and the university, do you have time to appreciate all Dresden has on offer, like museums, the opera, and all the cultural stuff?
Yes, but I have never been to one as of now. But I have heard from the area of around the theater flats, which is good for operas and stuff. But I have to because I was busy for the past 1 year.
Luckily, I don't have any university stress. Instead, I have time for a stroll through Dresden's old town. There is so much to see. For example, the Zwinger, which was the pleasure garden of the Saxon Elector Augustus the Strong. Or the Semper Opera house. Then there is Dresden Castle and Dresden Cathedral. And don't forget the many art and painting collections. If you can't decide where to go, here's my recommendation. If you're in Dresden, the Frauenkirche, or Church of Our Lady, is a must. Of the many beautiful buildings here, it is certainly one of the most famous. The Church of Our Lady was destroyed in the Second World War, like the entire city center. It was only 50 years later that reconstruction of the church began, thanks in part to donations from all over the world. In the facade you can see many light stones, and only a few dark ones. The dark stones are those that were recovered from the debris. You can just visit the church. Admission is free, but on weekdays at noon there is an organ service. Here you can not only enjoy the architecture, but also music. By the way, this is the old cross from the dome that was recovered from the debris. The new cross was funded by a British charity. After this little break, I head back to the university campus. Now is the lecture-free time. In other words, it's exam time. So you'll find many students right here in the library. That's the Saxon State and University Library Dresden, or SLUB for short. It looks quite modern, but it houses one of the oldest book collections in Germany, namely those of the Saxon electors from the 16th century. Today, there are 17 million media items in stock. Here I have an appointment with Greta Escalante. She comes from Ecuador and has been studying international relations at the TU for a year.
Honestamente, ¿cuánto tiempo pasas aquí en la biblioteca?
Generalmente después de las clases vengo aquí a estudiar un poco durante la semana, a veces los fines de semana, dependiendo cuánta tarea tenga, cuánto tenga que leer, pero cuando tengo pruebas estoy aquí muy seguido. Vengo en la mañana y me quedo todo el día.
¿Ahora por los exámenes estás aquí más?
Sí, por los exámenes me quedo aquí casi todo el día.
Greta tells me that the SLUB is actually almost her second home in Dresden, because she also meets friends here, but above all, because of the peace and quiet. The large reading room is impressive. The library is also open to tourists. For example, you can view the multimedia exhibition with library treasures for free. It contains the Dresden Codex, a Maya book, one of only 4 surviving Mayan manuscripts in the world. It was probably created in the 13th century on the Yucatan Peninsula. It contains astronomical calculations, ritual rules, and depictions of gods. A Dresden librarian bought the manuscript in Vienna in 1739, and that's how the codex got here. Greta tells me about her first year in Dresden, about the fun she has studying, about the difficulty of learning the German language, and about the many friends she has made. One subject particularly interests me.
Dresden lamentablemente tiene como una imagen no tan bonita, una imagen xenófoba en Alemania. Yo creo que también es el caso afuera de Alemania. ¿Tú has escuchado esto? ¿Ya tuviste experiencia en ese sentido?
La verdad es que cuando estaba eligiendo universidades y cuando estaba pensando en dónde ir, sí fue un tema que salió varias veces, que sí me dijeron como que, mira, quizás no deberías considerar esta ciudad por esta razón. Pero la verdad es que al momento de tomar la decisión había hablado con alguna gente que había vivido aquí en Dresden y me habían dicho que no había sido un problema para ellos y para mí tampoco lo ha sido. En verdad que no lo he vivido, no lo he experimentado, tampoco he escuchado de gente que le ha pasado algo que tenga, relacionado con algún como comportamiento xenófobo.
¿Cuáles son los lugares que te gustan aquí en Dresden? Que dices como que eso es mi Dresden.
Ay, a mí me encanta, la verdad, yo vivo cerca del Großer Garten, entonces me encanta ir ahí, no sé, a correr en las mañanas o al atardecer, quizás hacer ahí, llevar una pelota con mis amigos, jugar un poco de vóley. También me encanta ir cerca del Elbe a hacer un picnic con amigos, ver el atardecer. Ese creo que es en verdad mi spot favorito. Después también obviamente para las fiestas tenemos la Neustadt, sí, que podemos ir como a hacer un pequeño bar hopping en diferentes bares. Tienes para todos los gustos algo diferente, es muy cool.
So off to Neustadt, the trendy student district in Dresden. I would describe the atmosphere as shabby chic.
¿Y qué es lo especial aquí de Dresden Neustadt?
Bueno, la Neustadt, como pudiste ver, está llena de arte, llena de música, llena de actividad, de mucha gente. Entonces, eso es las vibras de la Neustadt son lo que más me gusta.
It's worth taking a look at the courtyards. This is the Kunsthof-Passage, a small backyard labyrinth with a lot of art. But there are also restaurants and cafes. One of Greta's favorite bars in Neustadt is Hebeda's, named after the innkeepers who founded the restaurant more than 100 years ago. Old ambience, young audience. Typical Neustadt.
¿Por qué? ¿Es este bar tu bar favorito acá en Dresden Neustadt?
Bueno, este es el bar en el que empieza la fiesta o en el que siempre termina. Igual es como un punto de encuentro para salir, para estar con tus amigos. Pero lo que más me gusta de este bar es que es como que tiene la esencia del Neustadt. Está justo en la mitad de la Neustadt y todos los que viven aquí han venido aquí alguna vez.
¿Y qué es la esencia de Neustadt? ¿Qué significa?
Es este ambiente tan relajado, tan ambiente de estudiantes también. Como pueden ver aquí, todo es como más alternativo, más relajado. Puedes venir, no importa con qué ropa vengas, siempre vienes, hay música, hay un buen ambiente. Eso es el ambiente de la Neustadt.
Y en general, en la Dresden Neustadt, ¿cómo son los precios? ¿Lo encuentras caro o barato?
A mí me parecen los precios aquí en la Neustadt bastante accesibles. Al menos como estudiante, venir aquí a este bar es algo que sí me lo puedo permitir.
Ahora me gustaría tener como una conclusión tuya. ¿Vale la pena venir a Dresden, estudiar, vivir, todo eso?
Yo creo que sí, de verdad que Dresden vale totalmente la pena. La ciudad es muy bonita, la infraestructura es preciosa, la gente con la que te topas aquí es igual muy, muy, muy linda. Tienes aquí diferentes mundos, tienes la Neustadt, los divide el río y después puedes ir al Altstadt y es otro mundo totalmente diferente. También aquí en la ciudad siempre me he sentido muy segura, que para mí es muy importante.
Vale la pena entonces.
Vale totalmente la pena.
Salud.
Salud.
Today I got to know Dresden in a completely different way. There are not only the famous sites here, but also students from all over the world who know very well where and how to have a good time in what is perhaps one of the most beautiful cities in Germany. Bye-bye from Dresden.